I want to play devil's advocate here. And I want to be really clear about, once again, what this mastermind is. Because I'm not knocking BNI, but people recognize what a BNI is. They recognize I'm going to meet regularly. I'm going to give some referrals. I'm going to get some referrals. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do my 60-second spiel. A mastermind is not that. Tell me about the mastermind.
Masterminds come about from my own experience. Back in the day, my business was struggling, and I gathered a few of my friends together to help me. Just had a chat. And from that, I actually ended up with my own personal mastermind. 5 or 6 of us, where we would eventually meet up every Wednesday, once a month. And it became more than that. It became less about me and about all of us. And that's really how the mastermind for me started. And from that, it helped me solve a major problem that I had in my business and several others, and interest in the businesses who were around the table, we had nothing to do with each other and we were friends, all business friends. It helped them as well. And that's really, for the first time, I saw the true value of a mastermind. I didn't actually know it was called a mastermind at the time.
You just got together with friends, like-minded, and you just started sharing problems, successes.
That's it, really. I used to cook and breakfast once a month on a Wednesday, and it was just a couple of hours chatting away.
Who cooked? You?
Me or my wife.
If it's Katie, that's all right. So I'm getting my head around the mastermind as well. I've been to a previous taster session, talking at the next taster session, and everyone who's watching and listening, once again, just for clarity, this is not a networking event. It's not a BNI.
Oh, it's a long way from a BNI, but what happens within it is naturally people learn to trust each other. And we have a few joint ventures that have come out of these businesses. But it's because they get to know and trust each other. But it's definitely not a networking event.
Forget the trust, and I want to play devil's advocate here. And I want to be really clear about, once again, what this mastermind is. Because I'm not knocking BNI, but people recognize what a BNI is. They recognize I'm going to meet regularly. I'm going to give some referrals. I'm going to get some referrals. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do my 60-second spiel. A mastermind is not that. We're not sending referrals around. We're not getting together. We're not doing a 1-minute pitch.
It's exactly not that.
Okay.
You're absolutely spot on there, Ashpal. This is about people who get together and actually help each other. Now, they help each other just by being themselves.
Okay.
They bring their experience to the meeting. They are able to be vulnerable, can be very honest. We have something at the very beginning where we explain that said in the room, please do not discuss this outside of the room.
The Chatham House
Thing. But take away the learning.
Sure.
Yeah. Don't use names, but take away the learning. And one of the biggest things we've seen is when somebody's in the hot seat's where somebody actually gets to sit in a chair and really have the attention focused on what their challenge is. It's not always a challenge. Sometimes it's a new idea they want to run by several of the business. So mastermind's not always about challenges, it's about new ideas. But what happens is when that person's sat in the chair, and quite often this is a big thing people take away, they're in the chair, but actually what they're talking about resonates with the person or the peers who are asking the questions. And quite often the person in the chair, in the hot seat, actually the people who are taking part in that take something away from that hot seat from the other person.
From that experience.
Yeah. So it's just...
And the hot seat, once again, they're not getting grilled. That's an opportunity for them to learn and use the group to bounce ideas from. Yeah?
Basically, people come to the mastermind and they get the opportunity to bring to the table a new idea, a challenge in their business. And because we've got some experienced peers around us, myself and Pete have got plenty of experience, we allow them just to say it out how it is.
Sure.
And the consequence of not taking action, or the consequences of not finding an answer to the problem. The next stage of that is they then get asked clarification questions. And these can be small things, they can be large things, just getting the clarity out there. Importantly, at this point, it's questions and answers. It's not advice.
Okay.
So we go around the room, and as many times as we need to. And then at the end, we sort of naturally comes to a finish to the questioning. And then around the room we go, and everybody gets the opportunity to give the person in the hot seat their idea, their solution, share some experience with them. But it's definitely in 3 sections. They tell the story, seek clarification, and then we add the advice. So if I was you, something I've tried in the past. You may want to speak to this person. And quite often business people, the smart people, business people, they work very hard, and quite often the minds are quite quick, and this can be quite a fast process to resolve a challenge, a problem, a solution, or test a new idea that they've had floating around their head for a while. And it gives them the opportunity to move on quite quickly.
That's really helpful. That's really clear. I get the hot seat. Tell me about the rest of the format of the actual mastermind.
The biggest thing a mastermind brings to a company owner is the accountability. Quite often, the only person that holds themselves accountable is the business owner, but we can also let ourselves off. So the big thing is the accountability. We understand where they are in their business. We'll discuss numbers. We'll talk about what sales they've achieved, where they are with the staff. And because we're talking about these every month, and they've committed to doing something, they're challenged on their numbers. And this is the beginning of the mastermind. So we know everybody's held accountable. At that point, we tend to discuss, we call it table talk. The table talk takes place. It's like a mini mastermind. People ask questions and clarify. It's not a formal hot seat one, but we have the table talk. And that's something that people really do a lot of value out of, because they can be themselves, they can be unguarded. Whoever's around that table, they've no other agenda other than to help that person and to learn from that person. So that's a real key element, and that brings accountability, which is the real benefit of a mastermind.
I love that. Table talks, hot seats. What else?
So part of what we do is we also bring intensives to the mastermind.
Okay.
Once a quarter, we will have, such as yourself, will bring an expert in, or will share some.
You're calling me an expert.
Well, I think you're an expert when it comes to video.
Oh, thank you.
We'll do these intensives,
Okay.
and we will bring an expert in who can talk about whatever is relevant in the world. In particularly your case, we're talking about video. In the past, we've had HR people, we've had people talk about LinkedIn.
Sure.
We look for different experts to come in, and it gives the mastermind a chance to ask questions without being sold to, why am I not doing this in my business? And the expert's able to answer them, and it's like, there's no sale taking place here. It's just a chance for them to talk with honesty and all the questions they wouldn't want to ask an expert such as yourself. Why should I use video? What does ramp up my volume mean? It's all that type of thing.
So it's very educational.
Once we've done the mastermind and we've agreed our next steps for the coming months, in between the actual mastermind event, which is typically every 4 weeks, myself and Peter, we actually book a one-to-one with yourselves,
okay,
with whoever the members are. And that's a chance to deep dive into whatever we discovered or whatever they want to talk about. And because we have that regular one-to-one with them, a one-to-two as Peter calls it, a one-to-two, that allows us to sort of like progress any challenges or problems or ideas they're trying to bring to the business.
Sure.
So that one-to-one's really valuable.
Okay, so just so I've got that crystal clear, you meet once a month, that's the mastermind. You meet
in person.
You do a virtual group as well?
So we also offer a virtual group.
Okay.
So the in-person one tends to be for business owners who have probably got staff, have got teams around them.
Sure.
The virtual one tends to be more for the sort of like the much smaller businesses, solopreneurs, solo professionals who are used to working remotely and working on the likes of Zoom and Teams. And we run them both within the same month, but they also get the one-to-one element of it.
Okay, great. That's what I was going to come on to. You have a mastermind which is virtual, you have a mastermind which is physical, where you meet face to face, you're in a room. And then in addition to that mastermind, yourself and Peter jump on a one-to-one, one-to-two, as you call it, with each business owner. So you're touching them twice in a month with regards to understanding where they are, what they're doing, what their objectives are, holding them accountable, and making sure that they're making some kind of progress, business progress.
And beyond that, we have something which we call Coach on Call. And basically, they can pick the phone up, drop us a text, drop us a WhatsApp message, send us an email, and myself and Peter will respond to that pretty much instantaneously. If we're both available, if they want to speak to us, if either myself or Peter will call them, and we'll try and get on a quick conference call. So that's what we call Coach on Call. Plus, we've got the whole group of peers, which we tend to have a WhatsApp group. And quite often they'll get some advice from people, or they offer, would you like to have a chat about it? So it's not only myself and Peter, it's the peers that bring so much experience as well.
So you and Peter run the masterminds. What are your areas of strength? What are the value that Peter brings to the table, you bring to the table? Tell me about that, please.
So myself and Peter, we are yin and yang. And that is fantastic, because we both look at life through slightly different lenses. Peter's background is PLC, he's an accountant by trade, although we managed to get him to escape from that. He's a systems man. Myself, I'm an entrepreneur, I've run several businesses, and really I have a great knowledge in sales and marketing.
Which then leads me on to the next question. Is there any particular industry or business type or business size that you particularly attract to the mastermind?
So we have a wide range of businesses. We've had removal companies, we've had exhibition screen companies, IT companies, telecom companies. There is really no sort of sector that we wouldn't particularly touch. The element is that they need to be established to a certain point, and it needs to be either the owner or the senior managing director within the business who's got responsibility for growing their business across sales, across the team, across the whole sector of whatever they work in. So it's a really broad spectrum of businesses. Startups, we have another model for that, but startups really don't work within the mastermind platform that we have.
Not industry specific, more around the psychographics, the ambition to grow. You've got to a certain size of business and you just need to be around other people that can help you get through some challenges. You might have hit a glass ceiling, and then the mastermind will help you to share your thoughts, share your problems, and find solutions with guidance from obviously yourself and Peter and the rest of the group to really break through.
So what we find is that it doesn't matter where you are in your growth cycle in business. There's an S-curve. You grow, you begin to plateau. It's in the plateau section that people get stuck. We talk about having a big domino, and we talk about how do you remove that big domino. If anybody's played dominoes, got a double five or a double six, that's a big domino. You never win when you've got one of those in your hand. So we help you find the big domino, we help you knock the big domino over, and then that allows you to push on in the S-curve of business. The danger is if you can't remove that big domino, the S-curve can also go the other way and it can go down. So that's why so many businesses rarely get beyond £1 million turnover. It's so difficult to get there. So with our experience of that S-curve, removing the domino, that's really what we're about, finding them. And it doesn't matter if you're at 1 million, 10 million or 20 million. In my experience, businesses in that size has really shown me that the problem reoccurs itself. And we're there, that's when you need a mastermind to push it to one side, give you some clarity, and so you can move on with growth within your own company.
Fantastic. So I want to dig a bit deeper on the S-curve. So you grow, you plateau, and then you grow, or you could even dip. Plateau, what are the telling signs of when a business is plateaued? So if somebody was to listen to this, to watch this, and they were saying, actually, yeah, I have them symptoms. What are the three, or more or less, what are the three symptoms that you recognize in a business?
When you talk about signals that people need a mastermind. Symptoms that people need a mastermind. I'm reminded of this story, and it goes a little bit like this. So I walked in on my home. It's quite late at night now. It's gone 9:30, and I called in and I got this answer from my wife. Your dinner's in the dog. I didn't know what she meant, but basically she was so annoyed with me that once again I'd arrived late, missed dinner with the family. It was sort of like 9:30 and I've been out of the house since 7:30. And she said to me, she says, Paul, you work so hard, but why do you work so hard? And obviously my answer is I work for my family. I work so we can have great times, fun times, a nice house. And she says, that's fine, but when are you going to be able to do that? And that was a turning point for me. It's a turning point for a lot of business people, I think. But they do realise that they're working for the family, but quite often they're not making the breakthroughs. They're working harder and harder, but they're not making the breakthroughs, so they can actually come home at 4:30. They can have holiday time, And yeah, your dinner's in the dog made me realise that I just pushed it too far. And that's when I sort of looked for help within my own mastermind.
A great story. And it reminds me of something that I have often thought about and often shared with a lot of my peers as well. I might have even mentioned it to you in the past, is that the business is supposed to serve your lifestyle, not be your lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And it's so easy to fall into that passion, dedication, to be so driven. I need to get this business off the ground. I need to get X, Y, and Z done. I need to get to these targets, these milestones. And if you don't have good people around you, you can work 8 days a week and you can accidentally forget to spend the time with the people that really care for you, that love you, and you neglect them. That's something that you, once again, is another symptom that maybe they should have a word. Reach out to you guys and maybe explore joining or seeing if the mastermind could help them.
The business owner says, I seem to be doing all the work myself. You're working 80 hours and you look in the bank account, it doesn't seem to be getting any easier. All I'm doing is paying all these people around me. That's quite a common feeling. So there's something stuck in your business there. It's almost like owner fatigue.
Okay.
It's not that they haven't got the smarts to do it, it's just that they're so bogged down in sort of like in the business, and they open the door to their office and there's a whirlwind of things that they get sucked into. The truth is they don't get to work. Quite a common thing, isn't it? Working on your business. But the truth is they need to work over the business, really. And the key skill to this is actually helping them to become scalable. A bigger, better version of themselves. That's not employing 5 VAs to be your assistant or anything like that. It's about growing the team so the team adds value just as much as you add value to the business as you did when it started. So it's about making them scalable, teaching them how to hold people accountable so that the team brings good work and adds value to the business as well.
That's really interesting, that is. So I'm just visualizing this. So a business owner is working all hours, and like the example you shared, they've got lots of revenue, but when you look at the profit you make, it's like non-existent because you're paying bills, you're paying your team, and you feel a bit overworked and underpaid. And at that point there, does the mastermind, is there actually an element where you get into the business and support them, or is it all coaching where that you're just giving them pointers for them to do it themselves?
Beyond the mastermind, myself and Peter do get called into businesses to sort out bigger problems, and we work within their teams, but the main aim is to get them to help their teams grow, become more accountable so they can be scalable. But sometimes we do have to go in there and have a little fix, sort things out. That can be leadership and development, that can be sales and marketing with the skills, it can be financial control. So we are able to work with a company should they want us to go in there and work with them. Let me share something else with you. Let me tell you what masterminds are not for. When you come to a mastermind, you are going to get challenged. You might read it as criticism. You might see it as very personal against you. So if you can't check your ego as you walk through the door, a mastermind's not for you, because everybody in that room has got no agenda other than to help yourself. A mastermind's not for people who think they know have all the answers. If you think you know all the answers, you're probably right. So you don't need a mastermind.
It's full. Then there's no space to learn.
And really you do need to be dedicated to coming and sort of like being part of it.
True.
What we do is we actually check people in at the moment, and when we come in we ask them for we call it scores on the doors, both business and personal, and we're trying to help them be part of the mastermind and focus on it just for the next few hours. So there are certain people masterminds don't work for.
Thanks for that.